Hello, welcome everybody listening in on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you might be. Hopefully, you're also in our whale Discord. This is an episode of Creator Toolbox. And as always, we're streaming live into the Discord, and there's a concurrent conversation happening. So feel free to join into that. And today, it's a really cool episode. Whale is the omniversal membership club for the natively digital. But today, we are talking physicals, and it's a really interesting platform. It's called DYLI, or DYLI.io, and it's really cool to have one of the co-founders here, Jonah. Jonah, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah, everything's good.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, thanks for joining us. And it's cool to talk to you in person because some other artists involved in the whale community had talked about your platform, making stickers and physical merch that so many artists are involved with in addition to their digital career. And I also had come across the DABBLE machine somewhere along the way. And, we also have a huge collector community in the whale members, and it's something that I think we all love to have, that kind of gachapon, random experience. We like to rip packs and, have that kind of discovery moment. So I definitely wanted to get to that at some point today, but
sure.
It's just particularly interesting too that you're physically focused with DYLI, and that's a conversation that we've had constantly. What is the blockchain really here for? Is it strictly for digital stuff? Can physical stuff be there? How about this word phygital? And do we agree with that or not? So it'll be cool to talk with you about this today, but maybe just to start off with, do you mind giving just a little bit of a brief intro on yourself and, kind of what led you to DYLI and working in the blockchain?
Yeah, absolutely. Jonah, based out of North Carolina. And yeah, I mean, my background, I actually started in very traditionally in like consulting and just sort of product development spaces. And then right around 2021, I made a pivot, and it was thanks to NFTs, right? So I was always trading cryptocurrencies since 2017, like a lot of us.
Sure.
But in 2021, I bought a hash mask, for those who are familiar, and I was sick to my stomach. Like, what a terrible decision, right? Like, I spent like 3 Ethereum on this image, and I was like, what is going on? Like, why would I do this? And I had so much regret that I sold it the next day, but I sold it for like a 15x because I had like a super rare thing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that like put me down the rabbit hole of like, what is this? Because when I was trading these cryptocurrencies, you don't really have to know what the hell Ethereum is. You don't have to understand. You just like buy and sell. You look at trends, right? Technical analysis, as they say. So I actually started learning, and I like fell in love with it all, like the concepts, the intent, and was obviously actively sort of trading and collecting. And I had a classic picks and shovels moment that I think a lot of people had back then, where I was like, I could probably put together a team to help people bring stuff on chain. And so that's what we did. So like my first, I left, I was working at Capital One at the time. I left industry, and I started a development agency called Nifty Labs with my co-founder on DYLI as well, Alex. And we did that for several years, just helping other people bring stuff on chain and build cool platforms. I know we might talk about it, but one of our like favorite partners ever is the Truth Arts team, the people who brought us Illuminati and Goblin Town and all of that. So we did all of that through Nifty Labs, not to be confused with Nifty Gateway or NFTY or every other Nifty team that came out of 2021. But we did that for a long time. But we always knew we didn't want to be an agency forever. And so we started thinking about, how do we take our experience building consumer platforms? How do we take our experience working with clients and seeing what they're missing and build something that uses blockchain to make a better experience for everyone, right? Like what we didn't want was to do XYZ on chain, right? We wanted to do XYZ, which is the best way to do it, and it's because of blockchain, right? And so all that kind of combined to DYLI, which we started last January. We launched this January, and it's been awesome.
Awesome. No, that's really cool. So I love hearing that you came out of this Web 2 world. You saw the potential, and there was certainly a financial hook, it sounded like. But are you a creator, yourself?
I would say that I am not creative enough to be a natural creator. I think it depends on how wide you go with the definition, right? Sure. I love solving problems. I like building things that are useful. You could call that creativity, right? You could call it some art in creating like useful flows. But I certainly have no talent outside of sort of that scope of what a creator could be. So it really depends on your definition.
No, I think that's spot on. I think creativity is very broad. Creators do many things, and my background's in music, so I think of symbolic systems and stuff like programming very much in the same way as music, and really anything you're doing with your hands, right? This kind of artisanal nature. It's very broad. So okay. So let me go and pull up the sites, because I feel like it is exciting to see what you guys have done, and it's a platform that initially when I came across it, I only saw it as this drop platform. I didn't realize immediately, that it had these extra elements that you guys were working with, and particularly, this design within the program, and storefronts, all these things. So I would say this is obviously, that the drops themselves have not been anything new to crypto, but you guys do seem to be approaching it in a very different way, and you're based, as I understand it, with the abstract network or the abstract chain. So I'm curious, what kind of brought you to this point where you're deciding on a chain? What made you decide to go to abstract?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so abstract was an interesting thing. So we started building last January, right? I can't remember when abstract became abstract, right? Like when Frame was acquired and they started planning the abstract launch. But regardless of whenever it was a thing, it was not a thing in our minds last January when we started building, right? We were building, knowing we were going to be on an L2. We're very EVM focused. And we were sort of building, with sort of base in mind. We knew we wanted to come out of the gates really hot with cool drops. And so I scheduled a meeting with Luca to try to get Pudgy Penguins on the platform. And, Luca did his thing and made the call about abstract chain. And so that was our first sort of introduction. And then we sort of dug in. We saw what they were working on from a protocol level, like the account abstraction, the things that they were doing as it related to paymasters, things like that, all things that were really valuable to us. And it really kind of signaled that their intent was they call themselves a consumer chain, right? That was clear that was their intent from very early on. And so we knew that there was a good sort of alignment there that we could tag on to kind of, try to achieve the same goal together. And so that was really what drew us to them. Since launch, I think they've really demonstrated that is their intent, right? It's been a really fun ride. That team is constantly shipping new stuff. It's been a really solid, I would call it even a partnership, right? Like they really are there to advance the apps on their platform and work for them as well as for the broader chain. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. That seems like a very organic way of finding it. Obviously, I'm sure you have very specific goals and reaching audiences and metrics and stuff like that. But I appreciate that there's a lot of consideration there and just a appreciation for that partnership, right? So, the other thought I had was, how did you bridge, or was this always kind of like in the back of your head, like we want to do physical drops, but we also want to, create this tool so that any creator can, leverage it and get their stuff out there?
Yeah, it's funny. DABBLE, everyone says like you need to be able to explain your platform in one sentence or two sentences, right? And our platform is a lot of different things for different people. And we, some might argue we came out the gate with like too many features at once. Some might not even argue anything because they're just overwhelmed with what we have. There's a lot of ways to think about it. But when we were conceiving of DABBLE, like I said at the start, we wanted to build something that was the best in-class solution to a problem because of its use of blockchain, right? And so independently, like you said, none of this stuff is new. Marketplaces have always existed. Primary sales platforms like Shopify, Etsy have always existed. All these things like exist, but they're all over the place. They serve, specific use cases. It's often difficult to figure out where you should be within all of that or find your place as an independent person. And so what we did with DABBLE was really try to vertically integrate everything that you would need to take advantage of this sort of space that is sort of merchandise, collectibles, apparel, whatever it may be, and make DABBLE sort of this open space that you can define for yourself, right? So you mentioned a couple features, right? Like there's, as a collector, there's following specific sellers who choose DABBLE as their home for a drop, and that is potentially an infrequent touch point. But there's always the dabble, right? So you can always broaden your horizons, explore new products, do things of that nature by hitting the dabble first. As a creator, there's a lot of ways to think about DABBLE. So to create a drop on DABBLE does not require a subscription. It doesn't require anything of that nature, right? All it really does is ask, what are you trying to do? And so you can, do a print-on-demand style design and launch the drop all within our app, or submit the products that you want to be dropping with us. And you get your own drop page with a bunch of different sales formats, and you can do that thing. If you want to sort of replace your Shopify or just create a whole new way of selling, you can upgrade to a storefront. We have a single subscription. It's $20 a month, where you own an entire store where every product you add can be either evergreen or collectible in nature. If you choose collectible, it is added to our marketplace, right? Everything is traded and available digitally before you redeem it physically. So there's just a lot of ways to think about using DABBLE depending on who you are. And our sort of job is to figure out who we're marketing to with a given campaign or in a given moment to tell that story as concretely as we can. Like you could choose to drop an evergreen only t-shirt just to raise money for your half marathon that you're running. And that's the only reason. You're not really a creator, or you're just sort of interested in raising money for a single one-off thing. You just do that one drop. Or you're trying to create a brand or simply monetize your artworks in different ways. You can sort of start creating several different products and make them available, whether they're collectible or not. There's just a lot here. That's why we have those docs that are super robust. It's almost too much to choose from. And so that's something we're doing now, is thinking about ways to help guide early choices to explore and discover all the different ways you could use DABBLE.
Yeah, it does seem like there's really, no limits here, relatively speaking. It is, again, focused on physical merch. So I feel like there's, some inherent magic that we can create with the blockchain or smart contracts that, is maybe just, I guess, not a concern here is really the way I think of it. And you can really focus on what that product is that you're creating and, how you want it to be represented on the blockchain. So, man, you brought up a lot of different questions in my mind, but I'm wondering though, just real quick though, because it comes up all the time. When you guys are talking to creators, do they often, I'm assuming they're receptive to getting their work into the store, using it as a storefront and whatnot, but do you find people that are only looking at NFTs as just like a provenance tool, just like a certificate of authenticity? Is that anything that you guys have explored for works, as opposed to like, having the actual work, I guess, in the store? And maybe I'm just kind of asking the same question in different ways, but yeah, what have you guys heard on that front?
Yeah, so I mean, we see ourselves as a place to monetize whatever that provenance is in physical productions, right? Every NFT that gets minted based on a purchase is backed by a product, and when that product is redeemed, that NFT is burned. This is really a utility-driven conception of NFTs to facilitate easy transactions of collectibles, and to make it so that when you buy, whether it be a well-designed shirt from an independent artist to a Pokemon pack, that the transaction is seamless, that finality is guaranteed, that authenticity is guaranteed, and that when, once you own that item, you have a choice of what you do with it, whether you have it redeemed and shipped to you, you hold it digitally, right, as your own kind of like low-key, mini, way less valuable Freeport type situation, or you list it for resale yourself, right? Like, that digital component is really meant to break down all of the friction that we see with using something like an eBay or a StockX or a Shopify. Our goal is to kind of make collecting a lot more fun, a lot more rewarding, and a lot more seamless by leveraging blockchain on top of sort of habits that we all already have.
So, okay, so that's really interesting. So really, you're not really collecting NFTs at all. And this is, you're acquiring the NFTs, but the idea is that the NFT is representing the physical token. It's in the marketplace. It can be traded, obviously, which is a fantastic benefit of NFTs, right? These tokenized real world assets. And, at the end of the day, if somebody does choose to claim it, it just gets burned.
Right. But again, they are NFTs. And so, I've built, like, native to the platform is token gating, right? That's obviously part of this. You can gate a drop based on holders of other drops. You can gate a drop based on NFTs that do carry provenance, right? If you have your own NFTs, whether you're sort of a, project, right? Like Bored Ape Yacht Club or something, or just an artist who has series of NFT drops, you can limit access to different products based on those NFTs, right? Gating is built in. And so we are really meant to expand upon ecosystems, communities, and experiences that you already sort of have, and to make them sort of more tangible and also more rewarding for those communities, right? A really interesting use case is in gaming, where, like, you win a tournament, you get an SBT, a soulbound token that reflects you being the #1 winner, which gives you access to a page on DYLI to claim sort of a champion's item that you can then redeem to own or list for sale, so that someone else in that gaming community who couldn't be part of that tournament but really wants that unique item can buy from you, right? Access is made, the portability of these assets and access to these assets is far more interesting because of the blockchain component, because of NFTs. And so our NFTs are not meant to be permanent representations of authenticity. They're meant to back items until you take hold of them. And then once you take hold of them, you have the physical, right? So should a creator want to chip that item and have a digital cert of authenticity on it, that would be a net new NFT unrelated to the one that we issued during purchase. And then some, that's a very viable pathway, right? Like chipping is a very interesting part of physical goods, and something that we'd like to see more of. And how that plays,
like an NFC chip that's embedded with the work, or included with the work somehow. Yeah.
Right. Like, there's a number of ways to issue that certificate of authenticity, QR codes, whatever. Some of these, like, higher quality chips allow, also act as wallets, right? So it can be an SBT tied to the physical good, rather than something that can, like, once you can separate, the authenticity from the item, it gets a little weird, right? Like, it's out of screen, and I don't want to mess anything up, but, like, I've got that 10,000 punk frame, and I was
Yeah.
issued a digital certificate of authenticity. I don't know why anybody would buy the cert from me without the frame, but they're not
Right.
connected, right? I could very easily like sell the frame and keep the cert or whatever. There's no reason for me to, there's no advantage, but it's like not actually tied, right? So there's sort of levels to how these things can interact with one another. And that's sort of dependent on the seller and how they want to handle that product. A lot of products have no connection, right? It's, we issue that NFT, you use it to have this world of transactions and portability available to you. When you've had enough of that and you really want to hold on to this item or wear it or whatever, you burn it and we ship it to you. And that's sort of how that ecosystem works.
Yeah. So do you find that people have, some common misconception about, getting their physical goods on chain? Does this kind of just tie in again to this provenance NFT question, or are there any other hurdles that you see people, struggling with?
Well, I think it's an interesting question the way you phrased it, because I think there's also like different types of things, right? I think some of the first stuff that I saw that was physicals on chain was like watches, right? I can't remember. It was like 4K Protocol teamed up with like Arcade, and they created this whole market for tokenizing your Rolex and then taking out a loan against it, right? It was like sort of this like interesting vertical use case. And after that, we saw Courtyard, and Courtyard just created the most fantastic. Like Courtyard is mainstream, in my opinion. Like Courtyard did it, right?
Yeah,
they took
yeah.
TCG, and they showed the entire world that there's a better way to trade and collect TCG using blockchain, and they did it, and it's amazing, right? Those people, I don't think they even blinked. They were like, "Oh, this makes sense, right? Like this is just smoother transactions. This is just really good." And so for those people, I don't think that there was much of a challenge, much of a misconception, because like to get your cards graded in TCGs, you already ship them to PSA or CGC or whatever. You're used to kind of giving up possession to get something done. And so giving up possession to have this, the PSA vault existed before Courtyard, right? Like being able to send PSA your cards and have them on eBay and get redeemed and all that, that's existed for a long time without sort of the more distinct trackability of ownership using NFTs, right? So I think those people never cared. This concept of like apparel and other items that like, what is the value of that? Why should it be tokenized? Might be more interesting or more challenging to come up with. And that's why we don't force it, right? If you want to sell a shirt without tokenizing it, that can still be part of your storefront on DYLI, because maybe you don't believe that it's actually worth collecting. But if it's, first edition or limited of 100 units, whatever, there are people who are going to want to hold that in a mint condition form and sell it later. One of my co-founders, Scott, has this stack of just poly-wrapped clothing that he just has because he's just whether it's, Supreme or whatever, he just has all this apparel, right? So there are the collectors of the universe do this without tokens, right? They hold on to stuff. They believe in that value changing. And so I really think it's more around who your audience is, especially as a creator. If you're thinking about how do I sell this item, if you have collectors within your base, and a lot of artists do, right, because they collect art, there might be a really easy sort of like gap to jump there where it's like, oh, this actually makes sense as a collectible physical versus this is just my brand on a black t-shirt that I want to proliferate, and I just want it to be sort of this evergreen item that sells over and over and over.
Yeah, and maybe that was another question I had, in regards to this ownership that all this kind of revolves around. It's a big reason why we're all here. The provenance, like we talked about, but what about when you're in one of these storefronts, for example, and I will just click into Rolf here. I know we've got some dachshund lovers in the whale community, but this is a very specific number of products here. It's clearly one general art piece. I'm assuming the dog is Rolf. Who knows? Maybe you know. But,
I do not.
Is this tightly controlled by the creator, I guess is what I'm curious. And, I see these sites like, Redbubble, some of these others that are really mass merch type sites. And, it's just one piece of art that goes onto any product out of hundreds of products. Is that an option here for the creator to choose? Do they very specifically choose, I want these, items to be in these categories here, like TCG, these collectibles, certain fashion parts?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you hit create and go to that design and launch instantly, this is our Redbubble-esque thing. You can't right now upload one artwork and see it across categories, but you can choose a product. So this is print on demand. A lot of us are familiar with this. Our catalog is limited to products we've actually sampled and that we like. But it is based on a typical print on demand catalog, right? And so there is also the ability to add stuff to it. Whatever product you pick, you can hit start design. It won't like bill you or anything. You will see there, I was a little small to read on the screen. We said, you're not a storefront or verified, so it's going to cost you $5 to launch this. So because of how easy it is to design and launch products, if you're just coming to the site and you want to launch a drop, we charge you $5 to launch, because obviously there needs to be some kind of barrier to spam and some of the nasty that might come up. If you're a storefront, drops are free, so it's $20 a month, and you can launch infinite products. So in this case, you've got this designer open here that some of you may be familiar with, and you can upload your own artworks. You can go to the clip art on the left and just throw clip art in there, and
it's a bad choice, I think, but
yeah, it's fine. You could just sort of make it fit the print area and it'll look wonderful. And what you'll find is you'll see at the top a couple things, right? First is the cost of the good, right?
I found that super interesting.
You got to list a price higher than that, right? That's essentially your only rule. Once you've designed something, you can hit sample and have a sample shipped to you right there. You're just going to pay the number on the left, right? So if you sample this right now, you're going to put in your address, you're going to pay, $21, and we're going to ship you this custom puzzle, which is great. If you keep hitting continue, you'll actually get to the launch page, and the launch page has key details. If you are a storefront, you'll get to choose evergreen or collectible, right? If it's collectible, it's going to have NFTs associated with it. It's going to have all these other rules. If it's evergreen, it'll be kind of like a standard product like you might find on Shopify, where you just check out and have it shipped to you, and you can change the price and stuff. Collectibles, you can't change the price because they're drops. So yeah, the first thing you do is you choose photos for your product thumbnails. And then if you hit continue one more time, you'll see the last page before launch.
Is this outer packaging real quick? Is this anything you can customize further?
Not for this product.
Yep.
And so yeah, just in this screen, right? These are the key details, right? You'll see that you can choose an open edition or a set supply. You're going to have to put certain timing associated with it. We give you a lot of details. At the bottom, there's several different drop formats you could choose from. Probably the funniest one is DYLI Dibs, where you can set a profit share amount with buyers, and random people from the sale will be selected to win some of the profit. Like just weird different ways to sell products. All of this is in the docs. I don't want to kind of waste too much time with it, but lots of things to choose from. You press launch, and you've got a drop page that accepts credit cards and USD. That is live and selling. So it's really smooth. We strongly advise people sample. You should really sample, but before you launch a drop. But that's how quick and easy it is to create accessible merchandise. When we talk about the Redbubble side of things, like depending on what blanks and what products you choose, you could argue that they're collectible. You could argue that they're not. We've got some really good quality garments in there. If you hit save, it should exit you out, but it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah.
We do have some really high quality garments and items that are part of the create tab, the instant creation tab, but take it or leave it. We also give like kind of indicators of what we believe is collector quality versus like budget and other things like that.
Right.
Like if you go into tops, you'll see like in the right. Like budget buddy versus casual classic versus whatever. Just giving people advice. Like if you really want people to receive this item and say, wow, that's a heavy high quality garment, versus I'm glad I only paid $15 for this because it's just sort of like a nice way for me to support creator XYZ.
Right. And I see you even have some embroidery versus other
Yeah,
options.
yeah. So that product only allows embroidery, which is why it was the only choice. But if you chose
Got it.
other shirts, you might get multiple choices um, for production.
Got
Yeah,
it.
like that one has DTF, DTG, and embroidery. And again, you can sample the DTG and DTF, understand how these different print techniques affect what you're doing. You also don't have to use that, right? You can you can produce products on your own and bring them to the platform, or have us
That's
help you create products, right? So,
right.
build with us. You know, we've built an entire TCG. We've done obviously custom apparel. We've done sort of mystery boxes, all sorts of stuff with creators. So there's sort of all up to you in terms of build with us. Bring your own is just like, let us know what you're selling and we'll talk about how we can get it on the platform for you. But instant, you literally never need to talk to us. You can sample on your own. You can launch on your own. That Rolf platform that you saw, those were all from the instant, right? Those are all from the print on demand. So that he did all of that on his own. It looks like all of those products were also collectibles, not evergreens, but he could have chosen to do the sticker as an evergreen or anything else.
I see. And remind me again that you're talking about the evergreen versus a collectible. How would you define that again?
So products that you list as evergreen are just standard checkout like you'd experience with Shopify. You choose the item, you pay for it, and you pay for shipping, and it comes to your door, and it's over. This, when you buy this for $3, you're going to get an NFT of this sticker. It's a two-step process to then first get the digital and then redeem it for a physical. And you have a choice as to when you redeem. And so that's a collectible, is this sort of second piece where you're part of the marketplace, right? Whether you want to list for sale or not, you have access to this marketplace. You own an item that's on the marketplace. Yeah,
I just happen to own an item.
So you own this Lorcana pack, right? So you see the choices on that you have here. You can make an so it looks like you might have yours listed, right?
I do.
Yeah. So you see the button says edit your listing instead of list yours, right? Because you already have a listing. So you can edit your listing at any time. You can cancel your listing. Even though you have it listed, you see that your redeem here is available to you. So if you see the redeem and you check it up to 1 and hit redeem, you'll get some choices about how to have that pack delivered to you. And that's because it has that collectible step, right? We didn't force you to receive this pack. You might not have wanted Lorcana. You might have hit the dabble because you wanted Pokemon. But now you got a Lorcana, and you got to decide what to do with it. I think the Lorcanas are underappreciated, but that's just me.
Well, it says this maybe some alpha here, but no, I was aiming for Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, but you know, there's also all these other things in the Dabble machine. We'll get to the Dabble machine very soon here, but I do appreciate there's this activity and this is all this pack, right?
Yeah.
This is essentially that provenance of that pack, and if it was a Rolf T-shirt or Rolf sticker, we would also see this kind of activity histories, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Every product that is collectible in nature will have this product histories. The most robust one is definitely ABSOX. If you want to see what a collectible in our secondary market has the capacity to look like, if you just search ABSOX in that search bar, you'll see what like a very active market looks like, because that has down to the products, you'll see ABSOX right there. Yeah. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the bid-ask spread here is pretty healthy in terms of like lowest listing versus highest offer. And if you go below, you'll see extremely active sale history, right? And what people are doing. So like this is a pair of socks.
Yeah.
Right? This is a
hey, socks are big in Web3.
Right. This is a physical good that any owner could leave this market and have these socks shipped to them, should they choose to. And a few have. But it is, as long as you keep the digital component, you're sort of part of this experience, which is the marketplace. You know, these are only worth, I think, in the 600s right now, but should they be worth like what Unisocks are worth, like $40,000, you can maybe even leave our platform and go get a loan out against your ABSOX, right? The beauty of NFTs is the portability, the usability, the, you know, what you unlock by having this in a tokenized format hopefully goes beyond what we offer you at DYLI. You know, even if like maybe you get to wear your socks in Nifty Island or something, right? If someone builds a rig for it, like there's so many possibilities with NFTs that go beyond what we even work on and offer. And any seller could do that themselves, right? They can make a t-shirt that they build their own rig for and say, if you buy my shirt, you can also wear it in Nifty Island or wherever else.
So, oh man, yeah. I saw something earlier when I was creating in the creator page, or no, sorry, the Bring Your Own, BYO, and I had all these sweatshirts I was going to drop off with you guys, and it said shippable, yes. Is that a service that you plan on offering? Do you ever plan on offering loans like you just mentioned? And where does this lie in terms of me taking that token and putting it in my own private wallet, building a contract around it and manipulating it however I want outside of DYLI?
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of things in there, right? So first of all, if you want to chip a product and you don't know how, we will help you. We do not do that in-house, but there's a million amazing chip companies that we partner with that we could get your plan in place and make sure that that's part of your production line. We can introduce chips to pretty much any production, right? Whether we're chipping vinyl records, apparel, it doesn't matter. We can get you there. And it's just if you want to do it or not. As far as loans go, not necessarily, but we do something a little cleaner, which is we do like Kickstarter style pre-sales. So if you've got an idea and you don't have the funds to actually produce that idea, you can pre-sell with us, because what happens is we collect the money and act as that intermediary, right? So we will then, once you hit your minimums, we will then fulfill the production invoice on your behalf, get production started, and then we can start releasing profit to you as well, as soon as sort of those minimums are hit. Again, this is all smart contracts and blockchain. If your minimums don't get hit, everyone is automatically refunded. So we have a really clean pre-sale format for physical goods as well, which
Really? Okay.
Those Grumples, the Grumple on the left there, that was a pre-sale that hit its minimum. There's all sorts of, so that was a mystery sale. We have amazing sales formats. Mystery sale is easily the most fun. You pay a single price and you get, it's kind of like the DABBLE except for a specific sale, where for $42, you didn't know which colorway of this Grumple you were going to get. And
nice.
So this was really fun. There was like a whole game around collecting the set. And these are in production right now because it was a pre-sale, right? So we had our minimums. These are being produced. And it was, you see 1,086 sold. It was really fun.
And is that something, did they choose 1,086 just randomly, or that's how many people bought in? Yeah.
It was a 48-hour open edition.
Got it.
That's how many they sold in 2 days. And then now supply is locked forever, right? That was the start and stop of it all. So they could have chosen, only 1,000 and it sells, but they chose to do an open edition. And that really made it possible for more people to collect sets. So this is a really good, interesting storefront because 3 of these products are from our designer, and that slap bracelet was a bring your own. So she shipped her inventory to us, and we are fulfilling purchases of these pudgy slap bracelets out of our warehouse on her behalf now, right? So she created these on her own, shipped them to us, and now they're sold and fulfilled by us, right? So when you buy this pudgy slap bracelet, you're buying something that Spiffy actually designed totally independently of DYLI, had available, and chose to sell with DYLI.
So, I know pudgy is obviously very popular right now. I believe you guys maybe partner with them at launch with some of the IP like Goblin Town and whatnot. But when people have access to these PFPs and other things that they've artwork that they've collected that has those commercial rights available to them, is that anything that you guys verify on your end? Do you require them to submit any sort of documentation as in general for like artwork on these products?
It's a good question. We don't do anything of that sort. We do have AI that reviews products from the instant side for infringement. And then if you go to any product, you'll see sort of 3 dots in the top right that you can report any product. And so, a product profile. So any of these products, if you go to, there will be like a report button. And so we take takedown requests super seriously, and we review all the reports that come through. And if a product is infringing, we actually will take it down. And what will happen is the product will become invisible to anybody except for owners. And anyone who still has not redeemed the product can actually return it for a refund. And so we're also able to kind of like hopefully destroy inappropriate supply in that way as well. So we're very reactive, but our proactivity is more around AI and less around independent human review of any product that comes through.
Cool. Well, that actually is the question that got DM'd to me from our community. Someone was wondering, do you guys utilize AI and how? And you kind of just told me. I'm not sure if there's any other instances that you could share in terms of how you operate. But then when it comes to the creator aspect, do you guys already allow AI? Do you have an AI aspect of design integrated into your platform? Is that something you're looking at for the future?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's sort of the last thing you suggested there. We would love to help inspire creativity through AI tools and things of that sort within our designer and even like an ideation partner, which is super easy, right? Like, so we've got that support button in the bottom right, which is like a typical sort of like ask your questions and get help. But we could easily expand that to include an LLM that just talks to you, right? I'm thinking about making, designing a t-shirt. Like what are the top 10 best-selling designs on Etsy? Like that could be an interesting question to ask, right? Right now, this is pure support, right? Feel free to hit us up, ask questions. It's just support. But it could very easily become a support and design partner. We all maybe have different impressions of what the value of AI and the impact of AI on artists and sort of the training of certain data. But using AI to guide your design flow could be super helpful. It is not something that is built in today. So that's sort of stuff we're looking into. Essentially, we would like to sort of reduce barriers to designing, creating, engaging with physical goods without necessarily creating something that is contentious or, someone might disagree that what you've created is actually yours or whatever. It's mostly we would want to help inspire and just remove roadblocks. But it's definitely on our minds and something we'd like to integrate for storefront subscribers, of course.
Sure. No, I mean it's a good way to tier it out and provide different options for what people are looking for. And I do think that there's some element of also like asking for people to get their skin in the game, right, and to kind of commit to using the platform and buying into it. But I digress on that one because I really wanted to ask you about the gems situation and loyalty rewards in general. It's a big thing we talk about. Again, just a great use case of NFTs and the blockchain, understanding people's habits, what they've bought, rewarding that loyalty, rewarding their activity, and gamifying it often. So I just recently had started up my DYLI profile and took it for a spin and won one gem. But I've also collected some gems here and there from my activity. I'm not very high up on the leaderboard here, but what does the gems process represent for you? And how do you see it being used right now, and any plans in the future for it?
Yeah, so we do call them diamonds, but the diamonds are constantly evolving.
Okay.
Right now, there's a couple reasons you might want gems. So first and foremost is I call them gems. So I call them whatever. We'll call them whatever you want to call them. First and foremost, they can be used for discounts on different features on the platform, right? So you can spend your diamonds on discounting your DABBLE spins. Soon you'll be able to spend your diamonds on live rips and grading submissions. Our TCG sort of like loop is almost complete. It's really exciting. You can collect a pack, submit it for ripping on our live stream. We will rip it, and instead of shipping you the cards, we'll tokenize them. So then you'll have all of your cards on your platform. You can then choose what to do with those cards. And one of the options is to have it submitted for grading as well. So we will take you from pack to graded card 100% digitally without like pure ease of use, thanks to the blockchain. Woo! So all that's to say is all of those steps can be discounted with diamonds. And something we don't talk about a lot because we're kind of waiting on Abstract to really talk about it is one of the really cool things about Abstract that they announced before they launched is this concept of panoramic governance, where essentially L2s make a lot of money that Ethereum doesn't get, right?
Yep.
Sequencer fees. And it's a lot, right? Like Base is just eating. Even crappy L2s make 7 figures a month. What was announced by Abstract is this concept of panoramic governance. What we don't know is if they're doing 100% of sequencer fees, 50%, 5%, 0.5%. But the idea of panoramic governance is that the users of Abstract decide which apps and to what degree receive the fees, and then and the apps receive the fees. And of course, you can imagine, how do apps actually receive the fees and why would users vote for them? One might be enjoyment. The other is because the apps say, we'll give you the fees. And so what we plan to do with panoramic governance is distribute all of our governance fees to our users based on that loyalty, right? So the more diamonds you have, the higher you up on that leaderboard, the more you stand to gain. So what we've kind of done there, or what I hope we do there, is passive financial rewards without tokens, without any of the stuff that can often create challenges with growing a company. Tokens can also be good for growing a company. You just have to understand what you're doing it, what you're using it for, right? So in that case, right, like let's just say we get 50 grand in a given month, we would distribute that 50 grand to our user base based on their diamond holdings. Ideally, it's more than that. It could be less. We have no idea. So I don't like to kind of use that as like a carrot of like, stack your diamonds, because it'll be useful, because we're still just waiting on more information from Abstract on how they plan to implement panoramic governance. But it is a really interesting sort of way to reward loyalty and usage. I think it's genius that the chain at the protocol level is doing it. I think it really helps with distribution. It helps with user-focused apps, and it allows apps to kind of really add more dimensionality to the stickiness of their products, right? Like, why buy with me instead of eBay? Lower fees, ease of use, faster shipping times, whatever. Oh, but also like just by doing this, I get a couple diamonds, and every month I get like $2 deposited into my account for having those diamonds. That's weird, right? It just creates more dimensionality. It really helps bring that Web3 and blockchain value back to the user and demonstrate why these blockchain apps can have a leg up over traditional platforms. So just sort of one more reason to use it and to maybe choose to use DYLI for your next Pokemon purchase instead of TCG Player. Yeah, no, it's a very, very interesting thing. And I've already got a pack of Lorcana, never thought I would ever own. But no, I did actually pick up another one, and I want to go through a dabble run with you here so people can see it. But I guess what I've been wondering, and maybe we can just get to that real quick, is we're seeing this very merch focused, or at least that's kind of how I would approach it. Even something like a vinyl toy, which I then look at it closer to like kind of a sculpture, right? It's a work of art in itself. Vinyl production has enabled us to kind of produce these quicker and scale up these things. But are you finding people are wanting to release like framed photographs that they ship, or framed other pieces of art, or blankets, textiles, these types of things, other crafts? Yeah, absolutely. And something that we're trying to figure out is the more bespoke Etsy style products, like things that, like, if you're making one-off things, that's a little challenging. Right now, we're built to sort of require that we fulfill products. It allows us to guarantee authenticity, guarantee shipping times. It allows us to really ensure that the collector experience is very good. Something that's like very bespoke and handmade really doesn't do well with that model. But it's not something we want to exclude forever. So we are thinking through ways to allow that more, I'll just call it like Etsy style production and sale on DYLI. But for now, it would be more like, if you want to sell handmade frames, you'd sort of design 50 to 100 of them, ship them to me, and we'd get a drop up for you, and you would sell them. So that's sort of the today, but for the future, we are thinking through ways to kind of sort of, and we would denote it as such, like, this is not DYLI held, like, you know, understand what, like, our authenticity guarantee changes a little bit, like certain things have to change. We're going to figure that out. But for right now, we do require that we fulfill products, which would sort of force either a pre-sale format or pre-production of a set style or design. Technically, you could do a mystery pre-sale where you're like, I'm selling 50 hoodies that I am going to make after I sell all 50, and each one is going to be 100% unique and designed. And once I make them all, I'll ship them to DYLI and whatever. That could be a way to do it while still using our model. But if you really just want to be able to sell them one at a time to people and sort of have this sort of deeper relationship with the buyer and sort of produce it to what they want, that's not really like possible yet with what we have going on. But we want to make anything possible over time.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It really does sound like it, which is cool. You know, there's something to be said. You mentioned Courtyard earlier, and it's such a singular approach to things, but obviously very, very kind of viral in how quickly it appealed to people. But you know, it also does feel very limiting. Like, you know, often I just have to be in the mood to like go there and you know, have access to what they have access to. Here, there's just like, I feel like so many opportunities to look around and see what people are creating and releasing, from stickers to vinyl sculptures, all these things. But yeah, it's super interesting. But here, I wanted to, I know we're getting up to the hour, and there are a few other questions. I hope it's not a big deal if we go just a little bit over.
No,
but real quick, I wanted to go ahead and check out the DABBLE machine, because like I said, we've got a really huge collector community here. You know, Whale is one of the largest holder of Top Shots. Whale Shark, one of our founders, he really went nuts getting you know, #1 serials, jersey numbers, all that kind of stuff very early on. And Pokemon, you know, we have a whole dedicated Pokemon channel in the server. So we're pretty nuts about it. My entry into NFTs was through selling unopened Magic the Gathering packs and having a hard, frustrating time on eBay doing that, because everyone was wondering about provenance and whether they were legit or not. So that's one reason I wanted to get rid of them. And I saw NFTs coming along, and of course, what did I do? Mint blind packs of cats and cat NFTs. So
Nice.
yeah, but here is the DABBLE machine, and you know, I had gone ahead and loaded up. I did really appreciate you guys have a link to Coinbase Commerce. It was really easy for me to add in cash, because I did learn quickly I could use my credit card and I could buy things with that, but you can't claim an offer to like buy back.
So buybacks, right? So if you use credit card for obvious reasons around fraud, we can't just give you money back in crypto for your credit card payments, because believe it or not, the dark forest is real and everything is abused. But if you use DYLI Cash, every single spin of the DABBLE does come with a buyback offer. And so you're able to claim that offer and get a little bit of money back, or more money, right? So if you're Pokemon fans in the audience, right? Like, we launched the TCG DABBLE, and the second spin was the base set booster at the top there. It's like a $500+ pack.
Oh, that's just one buyback.
Our buyback on that was $315. So the very first spin, we just gave out $315. It was hilarious.
Wow.
And so, and thankfully, because we really want that to stay in the machine and be this carrot that people spin towards, but it was literally like the second spin was a win for that guy, and it's just hilarious. And so, if you do spin with DYLI Cash, which is just USDC on Abstract, you are able to claim those buybacks. Which, if it's a Lorcana pack, you're going to get offered $8. That base set booster way higher, right?
Yeah.
We've had some really good wins come out of this. In fact, today, so we do one of the options with a pack, like I said earlier, is live rips. We do those on Tuesdays. And so at 4:00 today, we're going to be ripping about 15 packs that people submitted.
Oh, cool.
And then tokenizing their cards. One of the packs we're ripping today is a jungle pack from Pokemon. So
wow,
that's
cool.
That's worth several $100s on its own as well. So we will be ripping a jungle pack on stream this evening, afternoon, depending on, or I guess midday, depending on where you are. So that'll be really exciting to see. And every single one of those cards from that pack will be tokenized. And then the owner of the pack could choose to submit them for grading or not, all through our platform, right? So will be a really good, really fun live rip session later today.
So what's this this Dabble Pass here I'm looking at?
So the Dabble Pass is seasonal, right? So we're in season 0 of Dabble right now. And what the Dabble Pass does for you is it gives you discounts on every single spin. And other sort of benefits around like boosting, rarity and sort of opportunities to yield higher packs, but it just sort of gives you edge in the Dabble machines. We did this, it was an open edition sale. There were 10,000 available and only 3,400 ended up getting bought. And so then now it's all in the secondary, right? So people who own their passes can have them listed for sale and can sell them to you or not. And essentially, when you have a Dabble Pass, I believe like on this machine, it's $2 off, right? So if you're spending,
right,
I think we saw the cheapest one there was like around $5. If you're spending $5 on a pass, and you get $2 off per spin, you can, if you're going to spin more than 3 times, the Dabble Pass is a worthwhile investment. This is that diamond discount I was referring to before. We're letting you burn, in this case, up to 100 diamonds for a discount on your spin price.
Which then your buyback is
only in diamonds.
Is it available only in diamonds? Yeah. Okay.
Right. So if you don't use diamonds to discount your spin, when you get your buyback, you'll get to choose between dollars and diamonds.
Well, I'm going to give this a run, and I think.
Why does it look great? Try it. See if that'll.
Yeah, I know. I noticed this. It is, I think, still active, but for whatever reason, these are great. So, note for your guys later.
Yeah.
And it does take into account taxes. Are fees something that you guys are picking up on?
We do. That is generically there.
Yeah.
In Dabble, that is actually purely taxes. There is no added fees, but we do have like a standard fee in the marketplace that is $2. So when you see taxes and fees in the marketplace, you can sort of subtract 2, and then you'll see what the tax value is versus the marketplace fee. And not everything is taxed, right? We use a software to decide when and where we tax items based on how we're shipping them and what we're doing.
Here we go. Doing a TCG Dabble gotcha here, and here we go. Fingers crossed. I would love that Magic the Gathering Revised Edition.
I mean, I hope you get it.
Yeah, let's do it.
You'll have to submit it for a live rip, though.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, this is not horrible. It is the Magic the Gathering Ether Drift booster pack, which 15
may be a little expensive.
Yep.
But yeah, so you could choose the $8 back. You can get the Ether Drift booster, or you can take diamonds. And if there was a multi-purchase option where you could spin 5 times in a row or whatever. But the point is to kind of make it easy to explore new products, collect what you want, get some buybacks on the things that you don't. In this case, you sort of lost, so to speak, even though you did get a pack. The very next one could be different, right?
Well, I'm going to take some diamonds. How about that?
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
We do see people really do enjoy their diamonds. And one thing to call out is, we're trying to create loyalty. We're trying to make things fun. If you go to the Dabble, the high-level Dabble again, and scroll down just a little bit, you'll see our quests. So you'll notice we have a packs on packs quest where you took a buyback. So it's not highlighted anymore. But if you had gotten that magic pack, you would be just a Pokemon pack away from winning that quest. I should have told you that before you took the buyback. But there's all these ways to sort of gamify collecting, and make it sort of fun to explore. You can imagine where we can take questing in different directions. So,
what is this art aficionado? Artist stickers.
So we have a whole sticker dabble where the only things in the dabble are stickers and a gold bar. And those stickers,
and a gold bar.
And so it's just a 1 gram bar. It's not a massive gold bar, but
hey, gold is gold.
For $3, you're going to get one of many different stickers or gold. And so you'll see these stickers are from artists, they're from brands on Abstract, whatever. So we built a couple of different quests where you can either complete the artist set, the gaming set, whatever it may be, and those come with additional diamond rewards as well. So this is a bit of an experiment. Before we had a $5 dabble full of all sorts of stuff, including the stickers. When we came out with the $15 TCG, we figured let's give the $5 a rest and test out a sticker-only dabble with like a really premium prize, and then just a way to complete quests. We're kind of just learning to see what people like, what they don't, and experimenting a little bit. Because, you know, what's a startup without a little bit of testing? Yeah,
no, I imagine that's a big part of what you do, right? And are you guys, where do you, I guess, see yourself in the stage here? Do you feel like this is a very solid core product and you're now ready to start really expanding, or do you I feel like the Dabble machine was a pretty big add-on into it from what I could tell. I think I probably took notice of you guys a few weeks prior to the Dabble launch, but pretty big deal, I thought.
Yeah, so Dabble is really exciting because it allows you to access things that at a price point you otherwise couldn't if you win them. It allows you to explore products you might not have been considering otherwise. And it allows you to find a reason to be on DYLI in between drops from the people that may have brought you here, right? If you're a Goblin Town fan and you're there for the Goblin Town drop, when it's over, why come back to DYLI, right? Like we want to create a collector community. We want to create a vibrant, highly liquid marketplace. How do we get people to be on DYLI if they were only here for one reason or another? And I believe that the Dabble machine helps fill that gap of allowing you to explore and collect in between major drops, right? Like, obviously, when it comes to Pokemon, like we've got, Destined Rivals coming. We have different things that we can create experiences around. But in between those, what are you going to do? Oh, maybe try to grab a pack, right? Explore these collectibles in a different format. And so that's what Dabble is really meant to do, is grow the user base, allow you to explore and get access to products you really want or may not have access to otherwise, and do things in a sort of gamified way. The core product for us is really expanding collecting and making DYLI the primary place for you to collect collect products you love, collect from creators and brands you love, and do so regardless of where that product is in its life cycle, whether it's the primary drop or it's a year later and you're just discovering this artist for the first time and you want to get something from something they did a year ago. DYLI should be the place you go to do it. And so having amazing creator features and ways for creators to really excel at making, first monetizing, but also having good collector experiences top of mind, but then also, making sure that collectors are here for those people, right? Everyone's got an audience. You're going to bring your audience here one way or another, but we also want you to know that there are people already here that can support you and discover you. And one thing we do for storefronts is occasionally we'll buy storefront products and add them to our dabbles. So
I was just going to ask, there was a question that came in, if you're a creator, can you get into the Dabbler? And how does that work? Yeah,
totally. So there's no real way it works right now. We just sort of buy stuff.
Curated.
But maybe we can find a more formal way to sort of create certainty around how it works. But absolutely, like those slap bracelets we saw on Spiffies, those were in our Dabble, right? And so we want to make sure that we are using our tools to also help discovery for the creators on our platform. We before Dabble, this was really built to make us that we really only monetize when creators are doing well. Now with Dabble, it's, obviously that's a revenue stream on its own, but still when it comes to the seller platform, the real volume for us from a revenue side only comes through when the sellers are doing well and their products are selling. So we're trying to create alignment, trying to create value. And if we're not, we're going to adjust and sort of build this with our community, hopefully. And so that's the goal. That's the mission. Dabble's amazing, but it's really a tool for retention and discovery. The real product that I really care about is that marketplace, the primary sales, sort of growing the seller base. I think that is where we see the most value. Obviously, I want you to get your best Pokemon packs here, but I also want you to collect from various artists and brands here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's, like I said, we've got a huge collector community, so nobody's disappointed with more ways to pick up packs and stuff. But, and you're kind of the service too. I feel like, being able to grade it, slab it, all that kind of stuff, tokenize it, really important. But, there's that potential, I feel like, for creators who are, whether they're creating these small sculptures or something else, anything that they can ship to you and have it be held, and kind of managed in a way, if they want to just reach new audiences. It seems like this is a great way to do it. That's one of my main selling points in general to artists who are looking at NFTs, whatever type of art, whatever they create, right? It's a different audience than where your typical marketplace is likely tapping into. But I feel like this in general, like DYLI kind of aligns with us, Whale's mission, at least, to support creators, to have this kind of on-chain legacy being built up as you create more, explore more work, and certainly, we have a community full of experimenters. So I think that people are always looking for just new ways to just do stuff, right? So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I would hope that means we get more experimentation on DYLI and feedback, right? Like if there's something that we could be doing better, or this is perfect, but if it only had this one thing, it would be that much better. Like, we want to hear about that one thing, right? Like, we're actively building this. So there's also this sort of aspect of partnership with our early users and early adopters to help us make this the perfect tool for them, and do it as fast as we can.
And so people do have feedback. I actually fully plan to make some sort of whale merch for myself, for nothing else. But if people have feedback, is it best to use that little chat bot in the bottom, or do you guys have a Discord that you run as well?
Have a Discord. We have a Discord. Anyone's welcome to jump in there and chat it up. But if you want us to engage with that feedback, fortunately, that chat bot is really that I answer that more than my own phone.
Okay. So, well, I put a question into you earlier, so I expect an answer.
I see your question. It was only 26 minutes ago. All right. I was on a call. All right. I was busy. But being this call, of course. We use Intercom. It's the SaaS. It goes to our phones. It goes to our desktop. That is how to reach us the fastest, to get support and to provide feedback and ask questions. But there are, we're available on Twitter through our personal accounts and our brand account and the Discord as well. So whatever's comfortable for others. But that chat box is really strong.
Well, cool. I have just a few questions. Let's see here. We some of these we already answered, but first one, a couple people asked this. You're obviously involved with the abstract chain right now. You had looked at Base, you mentioned. Are there any other chains, L2s, that you've been kind of exploring? Is that even something that interests you?
So when we talk about token gating, right, as a seller, if you have an Ethereum L1 NFT that you want to gate your drop to, you can already do that. We are fully cross EVM when we look up your holdings, right? So if you wanted to do a drop on my abstract platform for, again, I don't know why I keep going back to it, but like Bored Ape holders, and they're on the Ethereum L1, that's all already possible. There's nothing stopping you from doing things on DYLI that relate to products on other chains. In terms of the NFTs themselves being on other chains, like I said, they're really utility focused and they're really meant to be burned when you're trying to redeem them and things of that nature. So we don't really see a necessary value add in allowing someone to choose which chain to deploy their drop on. Abstract it's super advantageous for you to be using Abstract anyway for their own XP systems and the paymasters and all of that. So there isn't a good business reason to deploy on multi-chain.
Makes
and
sense.
We really like the idea of deeper alignment with your partners and the protocols you work with. And so we would like to deepen what we do with Abstract rather than expand to various chains. If there was a clear reason that a seller could sort of like share with us why being multi-chain would be valuable to them, it would be what would start that conversation rather than us exploring independently, because we don't see that reason today, given the reasons I've kind of shared with you. And like when you have to deposit USDC on our platform, if you guys go to that deposit flow, you'll see the deposit is a built-in relay bridge. So you can actually deposit from any chain automatically anyway. There's no real friction there. Just do cryptocurrency instead of bank. I guess you have to connect.
Right. Well, I'll have to connect to wallet.
But
Wallet Connect. That's already a start. That's already a good starting point right there.
Yeah, and if you had a browser wallet on this browser, it would just pop up for you. As soon as you do that, you'd see a built-in sort of bridging tool. So you can deposit any currency from any chain into your DYLI wallet in USDC, all in one interface in 2 clicks, which is really valuable.
And same goes with withdrawal.
So withdrawal is really cool because the same thing. You can withdraw on any currency. So there's this whole bizarre thing of people thinking that utility of a token is to be able to pay in that token, which is the opposite. Because if like Pengu is a good example, if someone says, "Oh, you can pay in Pengu," what they're saying is you can dump the Pengu price by sending me Pengu and I'll sell it so I can cover my costs.
Do a swap,
Super not good for Pengu to pay in Pengu, right?
Yep.
But what's way cooler is withdraw in Pengu. So I can sell a product and say 100% of profits go to a Pengu buyback, right? That is valuable to the token. So withdrawals can be done in whatever token you want. So you receive USDC and then you withdraw in a token. And so that is actually good for the token, not pay in Pengu. Pay in Pengu just means sell your Pengu and make the price go down. Withdraw in Pengu says, let's find alignment. You get cool value. I'm withdrawing my profit in Pengu. I'm covering my costs in USDC. I'm withdrawing the rest in Pengu. And that is cool. Oh, interesting. The .eth doesn't work?
Well, I was just checking that out. See if it was set up. But
it should resolve. So we'll look into that as well.
Yeah.
But,
so take me through that real quick. If I was to throw in an address here, is there like a next page that I choose what token it comes out in?
There is. I could flip to my screen if you wanted. I could do it, but
here, let me just pull up an address.
You just paste anything in there.
I just happen to have a lot of addresses. But let's see here. One that I don't really care here. So I'm confirming the wallet address here, and so this is super cool. So I'm on Abstract, and I've got my DYLI Cash. There's my balance here.
So you choose any chain, right? That's on the EVM.
Wow. Okay.
And now on the ETH, you click ETH and look up the token you want, right? And so now
there we are.
There you go. Now you've got a whale buyback, right? All just like that. And this is something that you can sort of discuss, like, if you're selling a whale t-shirt, you can say 50% of profits, 100% of profits will be for a whale buyback and burn, or just a whale buyback and liquidity, like whatever you're going to do. But this is the real way to incentivize token communities.
That's so cool.
And I'm not trying to knock anyone in particular. I just feel like I even see like you owners of communities being like, when can I pay in whale, or when can I pay in Pangu? And it's like, that's not what you want to do. Like, that doesn't actually help you the way you think it does. Because when you're buying a physical good, that person just genuinely cannot hold it in that token. They have to cover their costs. Like, they're making things. So, well,
it's already a taxable event. There's so many things that go into it. Yeah, right.
So whether you're depositing or withdrawing any token, the world is your oyster. But we do really like what is possible with withdrawals. So we just finished. The reason I'm so passionate about this in this moment is we just finished an overpass sort of initiative. We're going to be making penguin, like pudgy penguin gibbets sets.
Okay, nice.
With people with penguins IPs.
Yeah.
And we've already done the math on the cost and what we're going to sell them as. And essentially, like 50% of profits are going to go to the IP holders, and 50% are going to go to a Pangu buyback and burn. And so we're going to use that to really demonstrate what's possible when you do profit withdrawals in a currency. So that's coming. We just finished step 1 of collecting the IPs. We're picking winners tomorrow morning, and then we're going to start producing the gibbets. So it's going to be a really cool kind of show of what you can do with token withdrawals there.
Okay, so immediately somebody's already DM'd me asking, are we going to be able to access gibbet creation tools?
So gibbet,
there's a huge Crocs community here.
So gibbets print on demand is not very viable.
Okay.
But that build with us is where, if someone wanted to create custom gibbets, they would submit like, hey, I want to launch gibbets and sell them. So we're kind of, that would be the only way. There'd be product minimums, stuff like that. But if I could find a print on demand gibbets seller, that would go bananas. I know it.
I mean, it's got to be coming soon, right? I feel like this is,
Yeah.
I guess enamel pins would be the only, the closest thing I could think of, if that's anything you guys have looked into. But there's, we have lots of, one of our guys here, Decryptolorian, he is, what is it, a pinhead? He's one of those people that just like, has a vest that's just covered in pins and has a hat covered in pins, and but the Crocs I think are on the way. And I'm already just I don't wear any Crocs, but I'm thinking, why not a whale gibbet, right?
Why not? And even if it isn't print on demand and you have to do a run, you could always do a pre-sale, right? If you've got this imagination of like what could a whale gibbets pack be, but you're worried about not being able to cover your costs and what might occur there, you can always do it as a pre-sale, hit that minimum, and then start production. So there's a lot of ways to sort of get started and do it in a very low risk format. But the penguin gibbets should be really fun.
That is so cool. I'm excited for it. There's one last question. Let me just double check Discord here. Okay, yeah, one last question, and I think here, looking at this kind of cycle through this carousel of like books, hardcover books, graphic novels, etc., patches. Has there been something that you expected? If I get this question right, is there something you expected as a use case that you haven't seen, or is there like one particular use case that you didn't expect? I guess that's the nature of the question.
It's a good question. I actually brought up one earlier that I thought was hilarious that we did not build this for, which was someone like saw the create tools and he said, "Oh, I could use this to raise money for my run," and just realizing that the ability to go from idea to accepting credit cards in 3 minutes unlocks a lot of one-time use cases, like raising money for, like, that guy's not going to open up a Shopify. He's not going to make a Stripe account just to raise money for his marathon. Like, that doesn't make sense. But we've accidentally built the tooling to allow them to launch a, Run Jonah Run t-shirt to raise some money for my I'm not running a marathon, but hypothetically, like
Yet.
that entire universe of like fundraising and sort of one-off sale purposes is fascinating and something that I never considered when we built it.
Yeah.
And when he brought that up to me, I was like, that's super cool. So that is probably something that I found really fascinating. I had a very interesting call with someone around raising money for a school through merchandise recently, stuff like that. So I'm hoping to see more of those interesting use cases pop up. In terms of products, I think there's a lot of interest, and it kind of gets a little tougher once we start the conversation. A lot of interest in TCG and making your own cards and things of that nature.
Oh,
but
interesting.
A lot of work goes into that, right?
Yeah.
And so once we get into the nitty gritty, a lot of people say, "Oh, like no, I haven't designed 100 different cards," right? Like when they think if you want a ripping experience and you want booster packs and you want to sell like that, you need a lot of variety for a pack rip to actually be fun. And so it's not as simple as just like, I'd love to turn my art into X, Y, or Z. So we've seen a lot of demand, interest in it, but that hasn't necessarily converted to a lot of people doing it. We did turn Blightfell, which is a virtual sort of Slay the Spire type digital card game, build their first set of boosters with us, because they had all the art digitally and all of that. And it's gorgeous. And those are being redeemed right now. And they look really good. Those. So those were a pre-sale. We produced them. And now they're open for redemption. Anybody can get this box and rip really nice looking cards. So that's a really fun use cases. Yeah, you could be here for Pokemon. But have you ever considered, discovering new TCGs and new artworks in this sort of collector trading card format?
Right.
So that's fun too.
And is this where I see the activity here? The price is what they paid, and then they receive these diamonds, or you to use that to discount?
No, so we do. You get 50% of the purchase price in diamonds on every transaction. If I don't know, it should be on the diamond page. If it's not, it's in the docs on the diamond page. We talk about how where your value. Yeah, it's not there. I guess it's in the docs, but. Everything you do on this platform earns you diamonds to various degrees. As a seller, you get diamonds for every sale you make, right? Like there's using the platform should be rewarding. You shouldn't just get diamonds, occasionally. You should get them because you're actually using DYLI one way or another, whether you're a seller, a creator, or both. You should find that experience rewarding.
And you were mentioning just this use case of trading cards, right? And I think there's an explosion of trading cards in Web3 as both tokenized, just digital assets. People are really into that. Obviously, like collectors are finding great use case of tokenizing the real world assets. But when it comes to the creator aspect and somebody wanting to approach you for a trading card game or anything really, what sort of resources do they have at their disposal in terms of talking to you guys and finding out, maybe this is not quite as viable as you think, or maybe you need to like kind of check this box to like make it more interesting? Is that something you provide?
Yeah, so it's a pretty manual thing at this point. We're still a little too small, but when you hit build with us and that create option, you fill out a form, we receive that form, and then we follow up. So if you fill out a form asking about TCG, I'll probably email you being like super exciting. Like, I'd love to see, like, do you have like a Canva file, an AI file, whatever of different artworks and designs. Do you have you considered a budget? Like, I start asking you questions, and if your answer is no to everything, I say, so what is your goal, right? And if it's just like, depending on what you're at, we'll help you out. We'll talk about it, right? But if you don't have a budget, that's great. We can still do a pre-sale, right? And so then it's like, great, you have no budget. Like, what are you trying to create? Oh, you've designed 3 cards. Like, let's talk about what you can do with just 3 cards. Probably not a booster box. Probably more like, do you want to just sell pre-slabbed cards, like of just a singular design because it's a fun card? Like, we can talk about it. But it
Cool.
starts with that build with us submission, and then we'll talk to you about what's going on and where you might be at in your creative process.
That's super cool. I really appreciate that. It's just there's lots of people that I always feel like have great ideas, something we experience within Web3 all the time, right? People put forth great ideas. Some people actually can carry them out. Some people can understand these extra layers of how they want to interact, whatnot. And some people don't even stop to think like whether or not this idea is something that they should be carrying out. So
Right.
any advice, I think, is always something you should seek out. And
Yeah, and we
are,
see that kind of stuff all the time too.
yeah.
Like I get submissions where like someone's like, I want to embroider an editioned number on like the sleeve of a hoodie, like 1 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but do you know what size you're embroidering on? Like I start to say, like, I understand your desire, but have you thought about like what is a hoodie? Like if you're selling only larges, it's a little easier, right? But if you don't know the sizes that are coming in, how can you pre-embroider 1, 2, 3, 4, like stuff like that. So we get a lot of things that like we already know are either tough to do or like just shouldn't be done. And then we just work through that, right? Like we talk about alternatives and what you may want to do or not do. But it never hurts to ask, right?
Sounds like there's a possibility here that we could have individually serialized, embroidered whale hats very soon. Maybe if we just
I mean, a hat is certainly easier to do than anything else. But there's things to consider. But
it makes sense. All right. I couldn't resist. I still have some DYLI cash. So I'm getting another one. This is your chance. Anybody watching, wish me luck right now. Still going for that Magic the Gathering Revised Edition. That is definitely a pack that I would have sold so I can acquire cat NFTs back in 2021. I'm not sure. I probably should have kept the packs.
I mean, we had a dark pack. Someone wanted a Magic the Gathering dark pack and sold it for $80 like a day later.
Oh, okay. Paradox Rift. Okay, I'm not as familiar with this Pokemon booster, but
I think it's probably not at $15. I think you're still below.
Yep.
But I mean, it's a great set, right? Really good artworks in Paradox in that set, but it's still not like a $20 pack.
And so, is this something you think I should be accepting the cash back to win a quest? Or
if you don't care for Pokemon, yeah. So that's a fun thing too. Is there's a secondary market, right? So you might be able to get this pack for like $5 to $7 on the secondary, and not claim this one for 15. If you don't care for Pokemon, you might find value in getting your money back. But if you do, and this is a consolation to the $15 spend, you didn't get the hanger pack or the base set, you might still want this just to rip it and expand your collection, right? It may not be worth $15, but it's still a win, right? You've got this on-chain Paradox Rift pack, and you can do what you want with it. So, as someone who doesn't care for Pokemon, I think it's a little easier to decide to take the cash and not collect it. But for someone who is going for the higher value Pokemon packs, there's a real decision to make there of like, well, I've already done this, I might as well just take the pack and rip it, whether it's ship it to yourself to rip it or have us rip it for you and tokenize it. Like if you're a Pokemon collector, there's still a decision to be made with something like a Paradox Rift pack. Or Journey Together seems to have been pretty heavily printed, but it is the latest before Destined Rivals comes, and so you get a Journey Together pack. It's like I could probably find the Journey Together for like $7, right? $6. But I also maybe, can't, and I'll just take the one I just got digitally for 15.
And sorry, a few more questions just rolled in. If real quick here, I guess one, is there a limitation on where you can ship any of these things if you claim them, or you're selling goods? If somebody in the UK wants to use your service, or somebody in Hong Kong, is it just as easy as someone in the US?
Yeah, so we're only limited like to OFAC sanctioned nations. We're not really shipping to Russia right now. Things, Yemen's not getting anything, things like that. Outside of that, we are fine to ship. The print on demand, we do have a print on demand partner that is global. So print on demand, not only do we ship, but your shipping prices are going to be reasonable worldwide. The stuff like Pokemon is warehoused in Florida. So that Pokemon pack that is worth $5 to $25 might have a shipping fee of like $20 to $25 if you are in Eastern Europe or Asia. That is why we do offer live rips, is you can still get the pack, rip it, tokenize it, and have this digital ownership over these cards. But that is something to consider. And every product does have a simulate button. So before you buy it, you can simulate your shipping expenses. So you can see based on the weight, like we have one customer who just shipped a pair of Nikes that they won to Europe, and it was a little pricey. It was like $45 to ship the pair of sneakers just because of how heavy they were and all of that. So those, you may not want that, right? So it is important to think about the weights and where you're at, because we are in Florida. But that's why we like give you the option to keep it digital and take advantage of those things. And we're always trying to find ways to reduce shipping costs and make things better. But do we ship globally? Yes. Could the cost be considered prohibitive based on where you are? It's possible based on the weight of the package.
All right, this is the final question. Will you be will you be including graded anything else, sports memorabilia, coins, anything like that? Will that be starting to pop up in the store?
Absolutely. So actually in the $50 dabble right now is graded comics. In fact, I think I saw an activity. Someone just won. Did they claim it? Let's see.
Oh.
No, they took a buyback. So Agents over here won Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles graded comic and chose not to take it. You saw the buyback's $45. So essentially he only spent $5 on that spin. Good for him. Or probably less if he had discounts, right? If Agents has a dabble pass and other things, that $45 buyback could have been worth more. Oh, a pending claim means you didn't finish making your choice.
Yeah, I haven't made my choice yet. Don't rush me.
Well, but what I'm saying, but that's nice, right? Is like,
no, it is. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, so you always can come back and make your choice. But yeah, so we do have graded comics already in the machines. One thing that's really cool, that's so annoying that you see that even on the $50 dab.
Well, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can switch back to us.
Yeah. So one thing is, and you don't have to do this because I know you've got that pop-up. If you scroll to the bottom, there is a suggest products for the machine button. We're always thinking about new things. We've gotten way too many suggestions for Legos. We're definitely going to add Legos.
Legos, okay.
Legos are coming. They have to come. People keep saying they want Legos. But if you are a major coin collector and it's like super cool and you want to see what we bring to the market, let us know. Like knowing what people want helps us get there. And when it comes to graded products, graded video games, right? Those are really cool. And if we know that there's appetite for it, we would love to bring it to the machines, bring it to the marketplace. We're also figuring out, especially with graded products, because there is this third party that's already authenticated them, accepting your submissions. If you have graded coins that you want to sell and you want us to sort of like vault for you and allow our marketplace to proliferate with your products, we're trying to find ways to streamline that. You can open like a bring your own submission today, but that's a bit clunky. We're trying to find ways to make it a lot smoother for you to submit products for us to receive that are already authenticated. We're really not in the business of authenticating ourselves. I'm not trying to take your secondhand Nikes, unfortunately. But when it comes to graded products, there really is a workflow there that we can build in. So we're working on making that happen.
Cool. Well, man, thank you, Jonah, for joining us on behalf of DYLI. It's been really cool to talk to you today and find out how you guys have, obviously been serving the collector community, which is near and dear to Whale's heart, but ultimately the creator community who's looking to, get their physicals on chain and explore this part, because I think there's so many tools out there for the digital component, but the physical part I feel like is always a little bit of a question mark, and you guys have started answering these questions in really cool ways. So thank you again for joining.
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Well, and I'll drop the links again in the Whale Discord, but make sure you go to dyli.io. That's DYLI.io. and you can check them out on X as well. But I'm definitely going to be following you guys, and I'm eager to see how the platform evolves and what artists and other creators start to use it for, and kind of let their own creativity help guide you guys and what you build for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
That'd be awesome.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for watching. This was Creator Toolbox, and it's hosted by Whale. Make sure you drop into the Whale Discord and see what else is going on with the community. But otherwise, we will see you again in the future for more Whale programming. And Jonah, have a great day. Everybody else watching, hope you have a great day or great evening as well.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.